The three things talking about any distributed ledger technology: scalability, fees, and also is it actually decentralized? So I think we've kind of touched on it here. Decentralization, well, the Bitcoin blockchain is controlled by 5 mining pools, and Ethereum less so, but still, it's not truly decentralized. There's actually a bunch of people controlling it, and they can change the ledger. So that's not truly immutable. So that's one thing we've got to think about. The next thing is scalability. And the Bitcoin blockchain at the minute purports to run at 7 transactions a second in the whole world, but in reality runs around 1.52 transactions a second. Ethereum says it's 20 transactions per second, running at about 4 transactions a second. And the last thing is fees. So I was looking at the figures for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. And Ethereum, about 2 weeks ago, all-time high of about $1.51 per transaction, now reached $10, the maximum. And Ethereum averages about 4, but it's up to about 50 cents per transaction. So put that all together, can we actually use it? And the reason I say it, because I was here ranting about it 2 weeks ago, because I work for the IOTA Foundation, which is a different kind of distributed ledger. But if we're talking about this, do we need to have that kind of conversation? If we're living in that world, is there actually any benefit to having these blockchains and using them on your platform?
I don't know. Thanks very much for that. Fees. Yes, this is something I was looking at recently as well. And I've also clocked the IOTA platform as well, and it looks like a fascinating alternative to what's out there at the moment, so I'm really keen to learn more about it. Because I started to worry when I looked at Ethereum, which the price of Ether has risen, is it now 15 times over, is it, since about January, something like that? I think one ETH is now worth something like 192. 192? Oh, right. Okay. Dollars, right, okay. And the Ethereum network itself is powered by gas. So when you want to, I know it sounds slightly amusing, but so when you publish, you create a smart contract and you want to run it on Ethereum, then you have to pay some gas fees. And then each time you want to execute a transaction on Ethereum, again you have to pay gas fees. You purchase gas by buying Ether. The price of Ether has been going through the roof recently, so therefore, in theory, the cost of running your application, decentralized application on Ethereum could also be going through the roof. So I did a little bit of looking into this, and I found that in fact the gas prices themselves they are decoupled from the price of Ether. So the price of gas can be separated from the price of Ether. Unusually, the end user themselves can actually say what they're prepared to pay for that gas. And the net result is that if you decide to pay a bit less, then your transaction will get settled a lot more slowly, if at all. If you want to pay a lot more, then the miners on Ethereum will process it immediately, and you've suddenly got a very fast application. So the point is it's controllable, but it's bloody complex. So if I'm a project manager trying to deliver a project on Ethereum at the moment, I know that I've got to take into account the crypto economics of that network. And that's a key part of the business case, is that the model that you create to make sure that your application on Ethereum is actually going to be profitable, and especially in the charitable sector, you need things to be predictable. That has to be designed in with absolute clarity from the outset. It's no good trying to hack together something on Ethereum, putting it out there, seeing if it works. If you want something that's going to work at scale and isn't going to suddenly become completely unviable in the future, then it needs to be very carefully designed from the outset. The other point there is that with Ethereum and similar things, smart contracts as well have to be really, really carefully designed, because the more complex and inefficient your smart contract is, the more expensive it will be to run, because you're paying for the processing. So understanding the crypto economics is one of the challenges of implementing on Ethereum. I don't know very much about IOTA at the moment, but I understand that you don't have fees. Is that right?
It's feeless, yeah.
Yeah,
and actually
feeless.
it scales.
So it scales, it's feeless, so problem solved.
So your answer is use your company.
It's not a company, so I'm not paid. I'm actually a medical doctor.
Okay.
But I joined it because I was looking at how to transmit medical data using a blockchain, but I kind of ignored blockchain for ages because it didn't look. Where's my QR?
I'm just naturally very suspicious.
No, yours.
People show up here claiming to be doctors all the time. All the time, it's
No, I'll work over at UCLA around it.
a bit suspicious.
He wants to run a pilot with us.
Yes.
Okay, see now it's third
So
party.
we've got you on the grad base
Now
already.
we're back to
We can check you.
we're back to the days of
Run a pilot with
PKI.
us.
Listen, I'm not sure that's a useful. I understand the point you're making. I'm not sure I would factor it into. I mean, the debate about the costs and so on really it only has really one use. So if you go to a conference, somebody stands up and says, "Oh my God, we have this amazing new technology. We can send value anywhere in the world instantly and for free." Then you know they're full of it, right? They haven't been paying attention to anything. So you can discount everything they say from that point onwards. So it's useful in that respect. But in planning, not so sure. And the reason is because I think it's highly unlikely that either Bitcoin in its current form or Ethereum actually in its current form, they're moving to proof of stake in the future. None of them in their current form are. If you want a TechUK analogy, I think of them as the Newcomb of steam engine. They're the first steam engine that anybody ever paid any money for was this huge thing, and it pumped water out of mines. And it was colossally inefficient. But it didn't matter, because it could do that one thing that you couldn't do any other way, which is to get the water out of the mine. You roll forward, and you've got a steam engine on the Flying Scotsman doing 100 miles an hour. Yes, it's a steam engine, but it's not the same steam engine as the Newcomer. It has a condenser and a steam governor and so on. It's TechUK, let's talk about it. So the idea that any of these applications will actually be rolled out at scale in the mass market on any of the platforms we have now seems to me to be a little unlikely. It seems infeasible to me that Satoshi Nakamoto accidentally hit on the best possible blockchain architecture as his first. I think because they're all kids, right? They're all 12 because they don't realise that it comes from a heritage. It comes from Hashcash and DigiCash and eCash and it's part of an evolutionary tree, and that tree is going to carry on evolving. So I'm not sure we would make the costs. The first. I think the thing to do is get the best architecture and then work out from there. So I understand your point, but I don't feel those costs are a constraint on the planning, because by the time we deploy anything, we won't be using any of those things anyway.